Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Stone. First, I want to thank Evan Mantic for sponsoring this symposium. I started writing poems in 2005. I had just begun dating a woman, and it was very competitive. On a scale of 1 to 10, she was a 9, I was a 6.7. So I had to do something to up my game. And so one day I sent her a very short poem, and she liked it. And she said, "Would you be willing to write a poem like this and send it to me every day?" And of course, I said yes. And so I went on to write poems for her just about every day for about the next year and a half. And we eventually got married, and we'll celebrate our 20th year together later this month. Okay, so for today, I have 6 poems to share with you. All are rated either G or PG. And I should say my wife has been a great supporter of my poetry efforts over the year, as exemplified by my first poem, which is called "What If My Ilk Doesn't Like Me?" I brimmed with utter confidence. I'd be as smooth as silk. I'd sparkle at the open mic and mingle with my ilk. But then a creepy thought crept near. It slunk into my head, an ominous, foreboding fear that filled my mind with dread. What if my ilk doesn't like me? What if no poet responds? What if the mob tries to strike me with eggs and tomatoes and yawns? What if the crowd is indifferent? Or if they inflict icy stares? What if they hint I go elsewhere to peddle my lyrical wares? I shared my angst and inner strife with my devoted bride. It heartens me to have a wife in whom I can confide. She said, "So what if poems bomb, or if your shtick affronts? A coward dies 1,000 deaths, a poet dies but once. Fend off your doubts, ignore your fears, go be a troubadour. Your tendency to bore your peers has not stopped you before." So then, after writing poems for a while, I figured I should really learn about poetry. And so I read this book, the first poetry book called Writing Metrical Poetry by William Bear. And I learned about all the elements of poetry, including the dactyl. And I read somewhere that, dactylic poems are difficult to write. So I thought, I'll give it a try. So this is my first dactylic poem, and it's called "Why Pterodactyls Make Great Pets." Choosing a pet can be vexing, and yet it's important to vet all the choices you've got. If you're in search of a pet who will perch on your silver white birch, it's the best of the lot. Dactyls are clever as hunters and never go hungry whenever they're ready to eat. Not just a yard bird, the dactyl's a guard bird, and as such, a hard bird for others to beat. Its beak and claws will make trespassers pause and give cat burglars cause to look elsewhere for loot. Dactyls obey each command that you say, thus it's rarely that they must be given the boot. Next thing to do is decide whether you are inclined to own 2, since the choice may be hard. 2 pterodactyls, and I will be tactful, would be quite impactful when cleaning the yard. Dactyls like dating, the joys of relating. It's alienating to live all alone. Dactyls may mope if you force them to cope with the loss of all hope for a love of their own. Dactyl romance should be given a chance, so I'll offer my answer, precise and succinct. Always by 2, otherwise it is you who, without meaning to, help make dactyls extinct. Okay, I should include one political poem. You may have seen Sesame Street and the song "I'm Just a Bill, I'm Only a Bill" up on Capitol Hill. Well, I decided I would write my version of how a bill becomes a law. And so I figured I should try to maybe be a little ambitious. So I tried to make it the same length as the poem The Raven, 18 stanzas, and also follow the same rhyme scheme. So This poem is called How a Bill Can Succeed on the Hill. With a gentle goodwill, we envelop our children in truth, trimmed with frills that enamor. When we've molted our youth and can handle the truth, then we're eager to sleuth like Mike Hammer. Take my hand for a walk through the smell of the chalk dust. It's time for a talk pedagogic. I have tips on the way legislation is made based on close observation and logic. It is rare that a bill can succeed on the Hill based on only the skill of a hobbyist. If you suffer the lack of a plan of attack, what you need is the knack of a lobbyist. Since their fee must be paid and expenses defrayed, I'll dispense with all shades and pretenses. You'll need cash and a lot, or you'll be a have-not, peeking meekly through wrought iron fences. Making law often can be more tortuous than winding streets in old Tangiers Morocco. But with cash, you'll be in. They will greet you with grins, wide and warm as the winds of Scirocco. Is the nation a mess? Are the flyovers restive? If so, then success may be tasted. Be strategic and clever. Use angst as a lever. A crisis should never be wasted. If there's no pressing need, then you must sow the seed with a chant loud repeated and rhythmic. Pass this bill or we'll see locusts, storms, and debris, plus a plague that will be cataclysmic. If a shutdown is looming, it's safe to assume there'll be fear and some room then to wrangle. Put your bill on the block, they're unlikely to squawk, since they won't let democracy dangle. It is never a cinch that a deal will be clinched if a bill makes some flinch, flail, or bristle. In this case, remain calm. You may move with aplomb, just fly low like a tomahawk missile. Here's the smart power play. Tuck your slim bill away in a CR with pages aplenty. You evade and elude like the deep staters do. It's the trick of the true cognoscenti. Give them minutes to read the bill. Vote at full speed. Let the push to proceed be incessant. When you press, just expect that a few will object, with the rest circumspect and quiescent. Swapping votes is an act, both pragmatic and practical. It's just a pact, yours for mine. It reduces the prattle. A vote cast for cattle will earn tit for tat, one for swine. If things stall, then supply them with pork barrel pie, like that bridge to the island Gravina. Spreading pork all around gets things done in this town with no risk of a downstream subpoena. Court the press and be bold. Full court press is your goal. Then your bill will get sold to the masses. It takes charm and some luck. Be a mensch, not a schmuck, or your bill will be stuck in molasses. If your foes face election, your goal is eject them. With ads that connect, you can beat them. Make the strike as intense as the fierce Tet offensive. You might just upend and defeat them. Act with zeal and with zest. Make the effort your best. It's the hare who will rest, not the tortoise. And the push by your foes to derail and to slow will itself undergo rigor mortis. If you choose to apply this assistance, then I say it's likely you'll triumph with splendor. If you don't, you won't win. You will grimace chagrined, saying, I could have been a contender. Yes, the goalposts are wider if you're an insider, a point you may try to ignore, but it's they, you will see, who will grace the marquee, and so shall it be evermore.